Hello and welcome to our webinar. I'm Gaurav Agrawal, Field Application Specialist at Eurofins DiscoverX. In this webinar, I'll be focusing on the Killer Cytotoxicity Assay Platform, our innovative approach to accelerate the development of cancer immunotherapy drugs, including antibody-based therapeutics and cellular therapies like CAR-T. So join me to learn more about our simple, non-radioactive, scalable, and dye-free cytotoxicity assays. First, let us understand what are cytotoxicity assays and why do we need them. So let me start with a bit of a background. As we know, in the last decade or so, the use of antibody therapy in the field of oncology has shown very promising results. Due to their high specificity, antibodies represent a promising method for targeting a specific molecule with high selectivity. And for that reason, therapeutic monoclonal antibodies are the fastest growing class of biological therapeutics, and more than 50 monoclonal antibodies are already approved by the FDA for clinical use. These therapeutic antibodies can function in a number of ways in the treatment of cancer, such as blocking the interaction of a surface receptor with the ligand, thereby blocking signaling events that may suppress body's own immune surveillance system. But one of the most interesting and effective ways that some antibodies act is by binding to an antigen on the surface of the cancer cells and thereby recruiting body's own immune effector cells, which then engages and kill the cancer cells. Some of the well-known effector cells belong to both innate and adaptive immune system, such as macrophages, cytotoxic T cells, natural killer cells, and monocytes, to name a few. But an efficient development of these complex cancer immunotherapy drugs requires robust cell-based assays that could actually allow researchers to determine whether a particular drug candidate can engage the immune effector cells to detect and kill the target cancer cells. Such assays are termed as cytotoxicity assays. But let's first understand how these therapeutic antibodies engage the immune effector cells to target cancer cells. As we know, tumor cells do express specific cell surface antigens which differentiates them from normal cells in the body. Now, these differentiating antigens are excellent candidates to target these therapeutic antibodies, thereby letting the normal cells to be spared from cytotoxicity. On the right hand side here, I have drawn a schematic of a tumor cell expressing a tumor specific antigen that can be targeted by these antibodies. Now, when the antibody recognizes this antigen, it binds through its Fab domain, and the other end of the antibody, called the Fc region, engages with the immune effector cells. So how does the immune effector cells bind the Fc region of the antibody? Now that happens through a receptor they express on their surface called the Fc gamma R3A, also called as CD16. In fact, there are different Fc receptor classes that play an important role in augmenting some of the key signaling events for immune checkpoint receptors. You can learn more about Fc receptor engagement in another one of our webinars by Dr. Jane Lemerdine on our website. Now to continue, the synapse formed between the tumor target cell and the effector cell through the antibody activates the effector, and based on the effector cell type, the tumor cell will be killed either by enzymatic lysis or cytokine release, and also in some cases by induced apoptosis. This process, where tumor cells are targeted and killed by the immune effector cells through the antibody, is referred to as antibody dependent cellular cytotoxicity, or ADCC. Now, for therapeutic antibody drugs whose mechanism of action is through ADCC process, which mostly belong to the Ig1 isotype, an MOA reflective ADCC assay is absolutely necessary to quantify and monitor their effector functions. Therefore, the clinical development of these therapeutic antibodies essentially depends on the availability of a robust ADCC assay. As I covered in the last slide, ADCC process is complex and have too many moving parts, so to speak, and poses many challenges that I'll be discussing in the next slide. There are several challenges with the existing cytotoxicity assay platforms. Some of the key ones are listed here. Firstly, most of the ADCC assays, which are dye-based or radioactive, are inherently leaky. In these assays, the target cells are loaded with a radioactive or a fluorescent dye, and when they are killed by the effector cells, the dye is released out of the lyse cells. But what actually happens is that the cells tend to leak the dye on their own, which interferes with the assay and keep it from being precise and specific. Next are some of those assays which are designed to measure cell death in general. Any cell death happening will be measured in these assays. The major issue here is the specificity of the measurement. Since the assay will also measure the dead effector cells as well. So these assays are not specific in measuring the target cell death only, but also will account for any effector cell death happening. So they are not specific assays. Now then there are assays which are not reflective of the true mechanism of action. Now for an ADCC assay, the endpoint should be quantitation of the target cell death. But rather than measuring target cell death, these assays measure a signaling event happening in the effector cells when they engage with the target cells through the antibody. Thus, these assays are considered predictive and not reflective of the true mechanism of the assay, and often referred to as surrogate assays. In the end, FDA is looking for a MOA reflective ADCC assay, thus it is important to select an assay which is MOA reflective. The other prominent issue is introduced by the effector cells themselves. The PBMCs that are typically used in these assays can bring in a lot of variability in the assay since they are derived from different donors. Lastly, the assays available are at times low throughput but could prevent the researchers from screening large number of antibodies at one go. And instead, they are forced to run multiple experiments to cover the number of samples they will like to analyze using an ADCC assay. But we have good news. Our killer assay platform addresses all these issues efficiently. Now going to the first one, the killer assays are non-radioactive and are not leaky. As you will see next, that it is not a dye-based or radioactive assay system, but it is based on a reporter protein, which makes it non-leaky. Secondly, our assays do measure specifically target cell death only, and assays read only the reporter protein that is released only from the target cells. So any effector cell death is not accounted in the assay readout. Now this is because, as I mentioned, they measure the reporter protein which is exclusively expressed only in the target cells. Next point, our assays platform is absolutely reflective of the drug MOA and specifically measure target cell death, which is the assay endpoint. So these assays are perfectly acceptable as they are reflective of the drug MOA, which is target cell killing. Now we do offer effector cells which are derived from a single donor and are thus able to remove any donor associated variability from the ADCC assay. And lastly, our killer assay platform is compatible to run in a high throughput format. We have successfully run assays in 384-well format using many different cell backgrounds. Now moving forward, let's talk about some of the basics of how killer assays are designed. Like most of our cell-based assays, killer platform is also based on our enzyme fragment complementation technology, or EFC. In short, EFC is based on a split beta-gal system where the enzyme is split into inactive fragments called ED or enzyme donor and the EA or enzyme acceptor. When these two fragments are put together, they complement each other to form a functional beta-galactosidase enzyme. We add a chemiluminescent substrate in the assay that this active functional enzyme hydrolyzes to produce a light signal that can be read with any benchtop luminometer found in most labs. Now the question is how we use this technology to set up killer assays. It is in fact a very simple assay design as depicted here. The ED fragment of the beta-galactosidase enzyme is tagged to a housekeeping gene which is stably expressed in a target cell background. When these target cells are lysed in an ADCC assay, the reporter protein is released from the cells. In the next step, we add the enzyme acceptor fragment along with the chemiluminescent substrate. The light signal produced will be proportional to the ADCC activity of the therapeutic antibody, thus providing a quantitative assay. Now let's look at the assay outline on how killer ADCC assays are set up. To start with, you can choose the cell background of your choice. We have over 40 ready-to-use cell backgrounds available in our catalog that you can pick from. Good chances that you will find your desired background, but if not, we do have a custom assay development team who can build an assay in the background of your choice. We also have available do-it-yourself kits that you can get and build the cell lines in your own labs, thus providing many flexible options. Next, you add your drug candidate in the assay, incubate for 3 to 6 hours, followed by addition of the effector cells. Now with killer target cells, you can in fact use any effector cell type. PBMCs or NK cells are widely used, but you can also use CAR T cells as well. As I mentioned before, we also offer our own effector cells which produce great results and also root out any donor-to-donor variability as they are derived from a single donor. Now upon addition of the effector cells, the antibody will form a synapse between the effector cell and the target cell that activates the effector cell to kill the target. Now upon lysis, the killer reporter protein is released from the target cell and combines with the enzyme fragment added along with the beta-galactosidase substrate. The complementation of the inactive beta-galactosidase enzyme fragments forms an active enzyme that hydrolyzes the chemiluminescent substrate to produce a quantitative light signal as I described in the previous slide. So this is a basic outline on how killer assays are simply set up in a laboratory. Let's look at some of the ADCC data produced from killer assays. Here we have 5 different ADCC datasets with different therapeutic antibodies and using various cell backgrounds. Now let's look into the first one here with rituximab, which is rituximab is an FDA approved therapeutic antibody for lymphoma targeting CD20. In this experiment, we have tested 4 different cell backgrounds. The y-axis of the graph depicts the ADCC activity. As you can see, both Dowdy and ARH77 target cells produces a very robust response with nearly 70% killing activity as they endogenously express high levels of CD20. Similarly, the following experiment shows robust datasets for other therapeutic antibodies against some key oncology targets such as CD38, CD33, HER2, and EGFR, and the assays were ran with some of the clinical approved antibodies, daratumumab, trastuzumab, cetuximab, and others. Also in the last data set, you can see the negative control where no effector cells were added in that experiment, and thus it produces no response, demonstrating assay specificity. Now let's talk about some of the other cytotoxicity applications in addition to ADCC for which the killer platform can be used as well. The next important cytotoxicity application is the ADCP, or antibody-dependent cellular phagocytosis. ADCP is a potent mechanism of elimination of antibody-coated foreign particles such as microbes, but it can also be used to target tumor cells. Briefly, in this application, therapeutic antibody binds to the cell surface antigens on the target cells, much like ADCC. However, the MOA is a bit different. Here the macrophages acts as the effector cells and engages with the antibody bound with target cells. This activates the macrophages and they phagocytose the target cells. Let's look at some of the data set with ADCP assay. Now on the top we have the data with the Dowdy cells, again with rituximab, which is anti-CD20 antibody. The effector cells used as an experiment are M1 macrophages. The curve on the left is the raw data showing a robust ADCP response with over 6-fold assay window. The curve on the right depicts the data as percent ADCP activity, which is over 75%. Thus it is a very robust assay, as it means that over 75% of cells in the target cells in the assay are undergoing phagocytosis. In the following two data sets, you can see ADCP assay with other cell backgrounds such as Raji, SKBR3, and with other therapeutic antibodies such as daratumumab against CD38 and trastuzumab against HER2. The last two data sets also depicts negative controls with normal human IgG that produces a highly right-shifted curves, which means that they are not causing any ADCP activity or negligible ADCP activity, demonstrating assay specificity. Moving forward, the other important cytotoxicity application is using the killer system for CAR-T. Now, what is CAR-T? CAR-T stands for chimeric antigen receptor on T cells. CAR-T cell therapy has emerged as a novel therapeutic T cell engineering practice in which T cells derived from the patient blood are engineered in vitro to express artificial receptors targeted to a specific tumor antigen. Now, these engineered T cells then directly identify the tumor antigen without the involvement of the major histocompatibility complex or the MHC. Now, to test the killers platform, we collaborated with Corning and Promag for CAR-T assays. They use the CAR-T cells that are directed against the EGF receptor and targeted HCC827 killer cells, which they converted into a killer format by expressing the killer reporter protein. The assay was run in both 2D and 3D format. 3D as in 3D spheroids were analyzed in the assay. 24 hours after CAR-T cell addition, the HCC827 killer cells as well as the negative control cells, which were NCI H460 killer cells, were assayed for CAR-T activity. The EGFR CAR-T cells displayed dose-dependent cytotoxicity only in the HCC827 cells, but not in NCI H460 cells, demonstrating a specific and robust CAR-T response. Moving forward, the last application I will like to talk about is another important one called the T cell redirection application. A little bit of background on T cell redirection. Redirection of T cells to target tumor cells holds a good promise for treatment of cancer. There are various types of T cell redirection therapies in development, and one of the prominent approach is to use the bispecific T cell engagers or BiTEs. These are dual specificity chimeric antibodies designed to harness the power of the immune effector cells to target tumor cells. Blinatumomab is one of the successful BiTE molecules approved by the FDA for the treatment of lymphoblastic leukemia. As shown on the schematic on the right, one arm of this BiTE molecule binds to CD3, an antigen found on the surface of T cells. Most commonly, researchers use pan-T cells, which are isolated using negative selection for T cell redirection applications, while the other arm is engineered to bind to a tumor tumor-associated antigen such as CD19, which is what blinatumomab is directed against. Interestingly, our killer cytotoxicity effector cells, the CD16 effector cells, which are in fact cytotoxic T cells, are endogenously expressing high levels of CD3 as they are cytotoxic T cells, and thus are amenable to be used for T cell redirection application. You can see a FACS data here where it shows these cells are highly CD3 positive. Almost 98% of the population shows CD3 positive staining. So these cells are amenable to be used for T cell reduction applications. Let's look at the data. So we evaluated T cell redirection with blinatumomab using our killer cytotoxicity assay system. Initially with pan T cells, as they are widely used. These pan T cells, as I mentioned, were isolated by negative selection of T cell population and used with our killer Raji cell model. Now Raji cells endogenously express CD19 on their surface as they are derived from B lymphocytes. As you can see that in absence of any effector cells, we have a very low cytotoxicity as shown by the teal dots. But a 24-hour incubation with blinatumomab followed by addition of pan T cells produces a very good response. Now let's look at the data on the right hand side. When you compare that to our killer CD16 effector cells, what you can see from this time course that the kinetics is much faster than we typically observe with the pan T cells. An optimal response that is comparable to what we saw with pan T cells could be achieved with only a 6-hour incubation of the BiTE molecule with the killer CD16 effector cells. So this is important that the killer CD16 effector cells made the assay kinetically more efficient. Also importantly, the EC50 of blinatumomab as reported in the BLA is between 10 and 100 picogram per ml, and the above assay, both of them produced EC50s within that range, thus keeping the pharmacology consistent. Now let's review some of the features and benefits of the killer assay platform quickly. Firstly, the assays are highly specific and they measure only target cell death. For this reason, the assays have higher signal to background ratios, but the basal activity of the assays remains very low. Second, the assays are easy to use with simple add and read protocol. The key benefit for this is that these assays are easier to implement in any lab. Also, when compared to other assay formats such as the radioactive assays, killer assays presents a great alternative, keeping all the benefits, but at the same time does not carry the hassle of handling radioactivity. Next is high sensitivity. We did back calculations and found that the killer assay can detect even if only 75 individual cells are being killed in an assay. Thus, for drug candidates which are not very potent, killer assays are an excellent option. The other is the flexibility of the assay, where you can run the killer assays for up to 72 hours. The data on the right show the time course where cells were lysed at specified time points, and the activity of the killer reporter protein was assayed together. The table below shows that the reporter protein is still active after 72 hours in the assay medium. The option to incubate the drug for longer durations present a unique advantage for drug candidates which are not kinetically very efficient. In conclusion, the killer assay system presents a robust and reproducible cytotoxicity assay platform that can address your program needs through the entire drug development process, starting from target ID and validation to lead optimization, where you can choose a cell background of your choice or get the do-it-yourself kits to build your own cell lines in your own labs. The assay established with the cell line at the initial phase can then be implemented in a lot release program for releasing the drug candidate into the clinic. With that, I would like to thank you for your attention. Please visit our website for more information on the killer platform or contact our technical support team if you have any questions. We'll be very happy to help. Thank you.